A very early good morning and welcome to another video. It's about 10 to 5 in the morning and I'm here at Saijo Station. As you can see, probably, it's not even beginning to get light yet. I'm here this early though because I need to be on the first train of the day to go where I'm going. So the first train is at 5:13, so I'm here a little bit early, but anyway. If you knew how long it took me to decide on the name Hiroshima Wanderer for my website and for these videos, I think you'd be shocked. We're talking months, and I forget now, but I went through at least 5 domain registrations where I thought I'd got a name I liked, but then I didn't like it. Anyway, I decided on Hiroshima Wanderer in the end because I wanted to emphasize, first of all, wandering in Hiroshima or around Hiroshima, but also wandering from Hiroshima. In other words, day trips, maybe weekend trips, starting from Hiroshima and obviously coming back to Hiroshima, but visiting places slightly further afield. And today is going to be one of those trips. I'm heading to Yamaguchi and then up through the hills to a place called Tsuano, which is actually just in Shimane, but we'll call it Yamaguchi. And the reason I'm doing that is, first of all, because Tsuano is a beautiful little town, but also because there is an old-fashioned diesel locomotive service running on the line for a few days over the course of this year. And the other day I asked at the station, expecting that there would be no chance of getting a ticket, and well, I managed to get a ticket. So it's about 3.5 hours to Shin-Yamaguchi, and then, if I remember correctly, about 2 hours on the diesel locomotive service. Anyway, I'm looking forward to it. Okay, it's about 3.5 hours after I left Saijo, and I'm at Shin-Yamaguchi. I have just over an hour and a half until the train I want to catch leaves, so I think I'm gonna have a walk up onto the Shinkansen platforms and take some photos and maybe some video up there. From the end of the Shinkansen platforms, there's a great view out over the yards at the end of the normal platforms of Shin-Yamaguchi Station. Passenger services around Hiroshima are, apart from one line, all operated by the same silver trains. So it's nice to come here and see a good bit of variety, and actually a good bit of activity. Alright, time to head down from the Shinkansen platforms onto the Yamaguchi Line platforms to catch my train. The Yamaguchi Line from here, Shin-Yamaguchi, as far as Tsuano, is famous because it has steam locomotive services on a regular basis. However, the steam locomotives that are normally used on the route are being repaired or rebuilt or whatever this year, and so they're not available. Which is why, instead of the steam locomotives, this year there are diesel locomotives hauling old-fashioned carriages all the way up to Tsuano. There are only a few services over the whole summer, judging by the information I could find, so it's going to be quite an unusual opportunity, I'd say. I'm looking forward to it. Apparently the train has just arrived in the platform. I'm getting quite excited. The plan worked. I'm in car 5, which is right next to the locomotive. This could be good. 8 hours to the minute after leaving Saijo, here I am in Tsuano. It was a beautiful journey and it's a beautiful day in this beautiful little town. I've got about 2.5 hours here, and first of all I'm going to go to Otome Toge, which should be not far along here, just behind the railway station. So let's go and see. This is the loco that brought the train up from Shin-Yamaguchi. I thought it was going to run round its carriages to prepare for the return journey, but the drivers just switched off the engine, got out of the cab and locked the door. So obviously that's not going to happen quite yet. What I want to do is visit the Church of Saint Maria up along Otome-Toge, and apparently it's just somewhere up here. The colours today are really spectacularly beautiful. The weather forecast for today was actually not that promising, but very, very clearly it was wrong. That was a pretty steep climb, but I think this is it, and already I can say it looks like a really special place. There it is, that's the church. The building is open, so let's take a little look inside. What a stunning little church. It's so beautiful. During the Edo period in Japan, which is the period from 1603 to 1867, if I remember my Japanese history correctly, Christianity was banned in Japan. When the Meiji Restoration occurred in 1868, some Christians who'd practiced their religion secretly announced that they were actually Christian. However, even though so much had changed with the Meiji Restoration, the edict against Christianity hadn't actually been rescinded, and these Christians were liable for punishment. First of all, they were sent to various parts of Japan to try and persuade them, and we'll use that word in inverted commas, persuade them to renounce their Christianity. When persuasion didn't work, they were tortured. The Church of Saint Maria here in this beautiful setting was built in 1951 to commemorate the Christians who were sent to Tsuano to renounce their Christianity. It's nothing connected to religion or Christianity, even slightly, but there is one other slightly interesting thing here. It's a public telephone, but let's take a look inside, because this is no ordinary public telephone. If you look carefully, it's got two receivers. According to the little explanation above the phone, if you pick up the left-hand receiver, you can make a phone call as normal. When you're using that, when you're making that phone call, if you pick up the right-hand receiver, a third person can join in on the call. I can see why it never became widespread, this system. Still, it's an interesting idea. Personally, I'd like to know why it's in the middle of a forest here, but I'm sure that's another story. I've been to Tsuano any number of times, and I knew that this church existed. I can't really understand why I never came up here before, but I'm very glad I came up today. And I didn't realize it when I decided to come up here, but today is Easter Saturday. Somehow it all seems very apt. I'm heading into the center of the town now. It's not a big place by any means, although I did spend rather a long time up at the Church of St. Maria because it was such a spectacularly beautiful place. And I only have just over an hour before I need to head back to the station to catch the train. Still, that should be enough time. This building, well, this building covered in scaffolding, is Tsuano Catholic Church, which is a place I always enjoy coming to when I visit Tsuano. It's notable. It's notable for me anyway, because it has tatami flooring in the church. Anyway, unfortunately it doesn't look like it's possible to go in. Oh, maybe it is. I did manage to go inside in the end, and there were no signs saying no photography, but somehow it didn't seem quite right to take video inside a chapel or a church, so I didn't. So I will put a few photographs in the video here. Tsuano is well known for these streams by the side of the roads, and I'm not sure whether you can see, but the streams are full of huge koi carp. I've read somewhere that the carp were originally introduced into the streams so that there would be food for the townspeople if ever the town was besieged. Originally this town was a castle town, and so presumably at some point in its history there was at least the possibility that it would be besieged. Anyway, there's some more carp here, so let's take a look at them. Quick public relations exercise here. If you think these walls are beautiful, which they are, we have lots of them inside your too. They decorate most of the breweries, in fact. In Saijo they're called Namako Kabe. I assume they're called the same here too. But anyway, if you're in Hiroshima and you want to see some walls like this, come to Saijo. Okay, that's the PR for Higashi Hiroshima City over. Is it just me, or are koi carp a little bit grotesque? Okay, a lot grotesque. Especially the black ones. The red and sort of white ones, and then the orangey goldy ones, I don't mind so much, but the black ones are sort of sinister somehow. I'm not saying I would choose starvation over eating koi carp, but it might be a closer choice than I would assume now. Let's just put it like that. Anyway, enough about grotesque fish. The beautiful green of these leaves just speaks so much of early summer, which, to be honest, is the way it feels today. As you can see, it's quite windy. Well, not windy, breezy. But if there weren't this breeze, it would be a very hot day indeed. As it is, it's perfect weather for strolling around. It really is a beautiful little town, nestled in between the hills with its river running through the middle. It comes very close indeed to passing my "could I live here forever" test. If anything counts against it, and to be honest, I'm not sure that even this is a minus point, but if anything does count against it, it would be simply that if there was anything I needed from a big city, something I couldn't get in a local store, then it's a very long way to a big city. But I do think for everyday life, it would be a very, very pleasant place indeed to call home. I have to say, I thought 2.5 hours in Tsuano would be more than enough, really, based perhaps on previous experience. But I find myself heading slowly back to the station now with still quite a few things I would have liked to have done. For example, up on the hill behind me, there's a huge shrine to explore. I've been there before, but it would have been nice to have gone again. I would have liked to have taken a walk out to Moriogai's birthplace. I would have liked to have taken a gentle stroll just along the river, especially on a day like today. It really is a perfect day. But in a way, I'm glad I haven't done everything, because what I haven't done, all the things I haven't done today, they become reasons to come back again. And I will be back again. I think it's been 3 years since I last came. I'm pretty sure it won't be 3 years again. Tsuano, in a way, feels a little bit like Onomichi in Hiroshima Prefecture. The more you visit, the more you want to go back. And this time, maybe it's because the weather is completely superb, but I've really felt that about Tsuano. I wouldn't be surprised at all if I came back again, even this summer. Anyway, for now, I think I need to head back to the station.
2番線停車中の列車は15時45分発 JR 山口号 Shin-Yamaguchi 行きです。JR 山口号は電車指定。
Alright, I'm at Tsuano station and the train has just arrived. Before I get on though, I'm just going to take a couple of shots of the train. Alright, so I'm back in Shin-Yamaguchi. I won't deny it was a long journey for a short stay in Tsuano. Saijo, Shin-Yamaguchi, Tsuano, and back to Shin-Yamaguchi, 7 hours for about 2.5 hours in Tsuano. I think I'm going to catch the Shinkansen back from here to Hiroshima. Instead of 2.5 hours, it'll be 30 minutes back to Hiroshima and then another 35 or so minutes back to Saijo. So significantly faster than 3.5 hours. But anyway, the whole point of the journey today was to take the diesel locomotive, JR Yamaguchi. And I did, and it was wonderful. And then to have been able to spend some time, even a short time, in the beautiful little town of Tsuano was really the icing on the cake. And fair enough, I couldn't do all I wanted to, but as I said, that's just a reason to go back. In any case, I did get to go to the Church of St. Maria, which was really, really wonderful. It was a beautiful place. In fact, I'd say that was worth the journey in its own right. By the way, I did realize earlier that I've been saying Maria all the time because that's what it is in Japanese. However, of course, it's St. Mary, the Church of St. Mary. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the journey on the Yamaguchi line, and I hope also you enjoyed the stroll with me around Tsuano. By the way, the train back from Tsuano to Shin-Yamaguchi had an observation car. Actually, the train going also had the same observation car, but it wasn't open on the journey up to Tsuano. It was open though on the way back, and so I went to take a little bit of video. So I will put that video and some video I took just from the carriage window at the very end of this video. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. As I say, I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you again in another video fairly soon, this time back in Hiroshima Prefecture. Bye for now.